Welcome to the Bariatric Bros podcast. I'm Mike Alley. I'm a foodie who used to be a big guy, had bariatric surgery, and not so much of a big guy anymore, but I still love food. And that's what we do here. We talk about the bariatric life and what it is to still eat like men. I'm so happy that you're hanging out with me for a little bit today. Cool stuff coming up. Bariatric Bros Shout Out is coming up in a couple of minutes, and I've got a great chance to, or I had a great chance to have a great conversation with a guy I know named Keith Speights. I think you're going to really love what he says about having bariatric surgery and what he's done with it since then. I have to tell you that right before I was coming here to do this, a tragedy struck. I was out with my wife, and she had an errand to run, and so I said, well, hey, let's go. We'll run it together because we spent a little time together. We're out driving around. And after that, she said, well, look, it's already late. Ridiculous to kind of go home and try to make some food. Why don't we just pick something up and bring it home? What do you feel like? I love Asian food. It doesn't matter what kind it is. I love it. And so as soon as she mentioned picking up some carryout, I knew exactly where I wanted to go. My favorite sushi spot. Grabbed me a couple of rolls. She loves their crab wontons. And I'm like, boom, we are set. So picked them up, got back home here. It was amazing. We just fixed it. We were going to sit down and watch something right before I record, have our food. I walk in. Just as I'm sitting down in the easy chair, the flimsy plastic takeout container kind of just pops open, the balance goes off, and both rolls hit my carpeted floor. Can I tell you what a tragedy that was? Because there before me was, $25 worth of sushi that there's no salvaging that. I mean, not only do we have a kind of a carpet that's like, more shaggy carpet, but I got a dog. There's just no coming back from sushi. There are other things you can pick up off a carpet and get away with. Guys, I mean, we've done that from time to time probably. Or maybe you could take something and, wash it off or something. There's no coming back from sushi on your carpet. So I'd like to say that I took it with grace and didn't yell and say nasty words, but that's really not the case. I'm better now. But, when you've had this surgery and you get a chance to have like one of your favorite foods and you know that you're only going to have a few pieces, in my head now, of course, I'm back going, I should have just pulled out the portion I was going to be able to eat and put the rest there and just put it on a little plate and brought that in. Anyway, it's a tragedy of utmost proportions. As a matter of fact, you know what? I will post a picture of my tragic end to dinner up on our Instagram at Bariatric Bros, so you can see it there. And I should mention also, by the way, that of course we are on all the social media at Bariatric Bros, so join us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow us on our YouTube page. We'd love for you to be there. And of course, you can hit up our website, bariatricbros.com. I'm still trying to get over. I'll be fine. I will be fine. I promise. I'm going to get some more sushi sometime this week, though. Hey, it's time for our Bariatric Bros Shout Out this week. I'm so excited to shout out this guy. Much of this community, you may know folks in the bariatric community via like the group, the medical group, wherever you did things at the hospital. My interview later, my conversation with Keith is a guy that I met through the hospital where we both had the procedure. But so many of us are connecting over social media. We've never met in real life. We've only connected through our social media posts. And our shout out this week goes to one of those guys, Terry Harden II. Terry is our Bariatric Bros shout out this week. Terry got sleeved back in March of this year and has already dropped 100 pounds. Way to go, Terry. He is a father and a husband And the thing that I love about Terry is what he's done during this time in quarantine. As I've gotten to know him via his social post, he started this cool thing called Dope Black Dads. It is an amazing site that he has created. It's got its own social media and it's got its own website. What he wanted to do was create a place to honor, encourage, and motivate Black fathers to be the best dads they can be. I love that. I love the fact that we can encourage each other, not only through our surgery, but also in these other areas and in these diverse ways. And he has decided that he wants to make sure that he is motivating folks in the Black community, the Black fathers, to be the best dads they can be. And I love it. And so our shout out this week goes to Terry Harden. Terry, congratulations. By the way, go to our show notes. In the show notes, we've got Terry's Instagram handle there, so you can go right to Terry's site and give him a shout out. We're also going to post the website for Dope Black Dads and their Instagram handle, so you can go follow them too. And you know what? You don't even have to be a Dope Black Dad to follow that site, because that great motivation works for any dad. It is great and amazing, and I love it. If you know a bariatric bro and you think they deserve a shout out here and some good promotion, you can always email us. It's simple, bariatricbros@gmail.com. Or, of course, you can hit us up on any of the socials, send us a direct message. We would love to hear who you think deserves a bariatric bro shout out. I'm excited about my conversation this week with a wonderful gentleman named Keith Speights. Keith, as I said a little bit earlier, I met through the same hospital program that we were in, had our bariatric surgery. Got to know him through the Facebook group that community hospital put together. Really was impressed with him and everything that he's done on social media. And this is one of the reasons I wanted to talk to him and have this conversation. He started out like a lot of us do, very active young man, really trim, not heavy. He, was very active. He said through his teen years, playing basketball and sports and all that kind of good stuff. Joined the Army, had a stint in the Army, but after that, and having 3 kids and the responsibilities that go with it, the weight just basically crept up on him. Along that time came health issues. Problems with his back, problems with his digestion, all of these issues kept plaguing him until he, going to his team of doctors, one of them recommended bariatric surgery, and he basically just kind of pushed that away and said, nope, not for me, not doing that. But it came around again. He really had to come to terms with the idea that he could not do it on his own. And that's a struggle for a lot of us men, is that idea that we need something else to help us reach the goal we want to attain. We should be able to do it ourselves. We're men. Coming to that realization helped him to find out that bariatric surgery was not the easy way out.
That meant that I had to put in my mind that, or I had to combat in my mind that I was not giving up this fight, that I was not taking the easy way out. And I did extensive research with St. Agnes Bariatric. And mind you, met some very great professionals and very great patients that were going through and had been through. And I started to do a lot of research because I heard earlier on that they had all these complications and how people would, their suture lining will open and that acid will leak out and they have all these detrimental things. And I definitely talked to Dr. Hamdallah about those things.
All the horror stories.
Right. So he says, well, let me explain what that comes from. And then you go through the classes and you'll understand. He says that comes from someone not being on top of what they're supposed to do. He said he was saying that as a surgeon because after that happens and he have to go back in and he sees what happens, a lot of times the person didn't take it seriously. Once I started going through the training and started to understand everything that went into this definitely was not an easy way out. This definitely, Mike, ended up being something that was more monumental than me trying to do this on my own. I went forward with having VSG.
For you, it really was a mind shift of feel like I'm doing this on my own to understanding that this procedure is still doing it on your own because it's still your responsibility to do all the pieces right. This is just like any other program. As we always say, we call it the tool. It's not a miracle. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, it's not going to work.
Yes, exactly right. It was one of those things where as though I just had to accept that I needed help. And once I went through all that and started going through pre-op weight, the weight management portion of it with my primary, he was like, hey, listen, buddy, because you're sitting at 45. This thing gets increasingly harder as you get older. Mm-hmm. If you want the quality of life that you're saying that you want, really consider it, really look into it. And I really did. And I took that medical advice and I went forward with it. So after that, then I started to realize what was in front of me and what I needed to do.
What was that total period like? For like, how long was that period from the first time? Like, not like the first time you kind of blew off the doctor, but like when you kind of were like, okay, I'm going to go sit down, and I met with the doctor, and then you went through like when you finally said yes. Yep, I'm definitely going to do this. Was it 6 months or?
No. I actually started the process, and then I said, forget that. I'm not going to do it. So I had a 3-month break. Then in October of 2017, I went back with my tail tucked between my legs. So I didn't say, please take me back, Dr. Humdallah. I never left you. I never lost confidence in you. I know that this is that this is an adjustment for you to have to accept. So I understand it. October, I started and I got really, really serious. Really, right. 6 months. So that was October, November, December, 3 months. I saw like 10 to 12 pound weight loss. Then January, February, March, right? Was the 6 month. Then I saw another 10-pound loss. So going into surgery, I started, my highest weight was 326. I started surgery at 306.
When was your procedure, Keith?
My procedure was May 1st, 2018.
Okay.
Once I did that, and once I got all that, I took it so seriously because I learned so much and so many new things about my relationship with food, how my emotions and how I deal with things and how that affected my relationship with food. Consequently, Mike, let me just say this. A lot of us men, when we get a certain age, we get kind of set in our way. And getting set in our way, we are hard rocks to remove. It's like watering a rock and trying to, okay? And I was one of those people that did not feel I needed the help until I started going through the process and see the changes that metamorph and all the goodness that was happening with me. And I embraced the whole journey.
Talk a little bit about your food relationship following surgery. So okay. Did you have, there's always the talk, and it's funny. I was on Instagram or something this week and saw a guy post, who had procedure, had a post about, there's not much talk about as much the men's journey, which is part of the reason I'm doing this, because, men have it so easy. And it's kind of the thought process. And I will say that, I know that statistically, we tend to go through the actual surgery procedure and post-op a little easier, in healing, and it's less guys have longer complications. But yet all the other mental and other issues that go along with it and our relationships with food is the same as any other person. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It's all about what you're doing upstairs and what you're thinking about this. And so after you had the procedure, and let's get past the healing part through liquids and, purees and back to real food, how difficult was it to make that change for you on a daily basis?
I'm not going to exaggerate to any extent on this. I'm going to be really, really open about it and really transparent. it actually became one of the harder things for me to do. It was easier for me going through the liquid, the soft food. It was so much easier because I had a time period and I had something set. Coming back to introducing the new normalcy for me, well, by that time, I had gotten back into work, corporate America. Being on short-term disability financially, we were able to swim or tread water in my household, but those stressors started coming. So now I'm getting the stressors that I was in this bubble for 9 weeks or so. Now I'm real life. Real life, I bought enough food, enough protein, and didn't realize now I have to work overtime. So what do? There's a vending machine, and I know most of it's filled with crap. I have to make a decision. I can't go hungry because it's not good for me.
Right.
I have to make sure I'm eating liquids. So now it presented a whole new challenge for me. And that challenge, I like to think that I heeded the challenge in a more radical way. So once I had that first day, I started being more and more prepared. Food is a necessity to live. So I had to understand I need to eat to live, not live to eat. That, plus on top of that, I happen to have gotten a certification in wedding cake design, and I was making all these beautiful cupcakes for everybody and around all the temptation.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And that coupled being a chef, and a lot of times during that time, right, it got back on regular food sometime October, November. Hence Thanksgiving.
Right.
My favorite holidays.
Oh, yeah.
And I had to cook for my family. Presented a real big temptation issue. But in that, I really saw how strong I was because I was able to understand what the journey I was on and how important it was for me to be here for my family. It was a win-lose situation. It wasn't one of those things like, oh, I can fall into this a little bit and get back out. No, because my relationship with food was not that. I had a true food addiction. And when I realized that and I accepted that I was addicted to food and sugar, I had to figure out how to replace that. Hence came out my slogan to my company, which is called Get Hype. I got hype about me. And which brought on some of the other taglines I have, which is total person fitness, because I had to deal with it physically, spiritually, motivationally, inspirationally. And I had to then start to embrace my personal triumphs, which were at that time very minute to the grand scheme of things, but monumental to me. So after that whole thing happened, my relationship with food changed after one instance of being challenged by it, because it was, you either going to sink or you're going to swim.
Now, Keith, let me ask you, because so I'm very much, and anybody who's listened knows, I'm very much a foodie. And one of the things that tipped me when I had the procedure was during the seminar. The doctor who gave the seminar said, hey, if you're a foodie, you can still be a foodie. You're just going to take half of it home now, you know? Right. So I do. I will say I have a love affair with all kinds of foods. I love to taste it, and having this procedure has changed the way I eat, in the sense of I know that this smaller portion that I'm going to have, I'm going to savor it so that I can really enjoy it and get the most out of it. And so I still get that luxury, and I get that comfort, not in a like psychological, emotional. I'm not emotionally eating like I was before on those stress times. With your situation, have you found, are you just eating to live at this point, or do you still enjoy, I mean, being someone who's a chef and that kind of thing, do you still enjoy food, making something really good and just digging into it?
Absolutely, Mike. I absolutely, I enjoy it all the time. My enjoyment, as you said, is I can enjoy a smaller portion of it. So friends and family of mine, some close friends and I, we went to LA and we were out to dinner. And one of my closest friends says, you know what? I'm actually going to pick up the tab because one of us here can't eat as much as anyone else. So the fact that I can get to share what they eat and I don't have to pay full price dinners on me. So I became this really cheap date, right?
Oh, I need friends like that, Keith. I need some of those friends in my life. Woo.
I became this really cheap date. And then I learned to really enjoy food because one of the things in this process, and one of the things that we learn in the process of going through the diet part. Oh, I hate to use the word diet because that means something different to me. So the nutritional part of this was to learn to savor and enjoy your food. And you should chew more and take your time and relax. And it's not a race. So it propelled me into a new enjoyment to the food that I ate because I'm not a traditional cook where I just use salt and pepper. I hardly ever use salt. So I use other herbs like, basil, thyme, rosemary, and all those other flavors that if you eat too fast, you miss it. You miss it. So now I'm able to enjoy all these great new flavors. I'm able to enjoy all these great new dishes just on a smaller scale and to be able to enjoy it. So absolutely, I still absolutely love food. To the question, do I now only eat to live? Absolutely, because I understand the purpose of food. Food is a fuel. So that's what I do at this point is I really enjoy it and I take more time into it. And although I eat to live, I enjoy to eat to live what I have.
I like that. I like the way you're phrasing that. So let's talk about Get Hype. We came along each other in the Facebook group with a bariatric patients. We ended up in the same hospital program. I start seeing all your stuff. I mean, at first it's just kind of, your transformation pictures and all of this. And then boom. And then it's, wow, biking and running and all this kind of stuff. So you've already said you were obviously very active as a kid. It kind of trailed off, of course, with the stuff of life and the responsibilities. But I guess at this point, it's something now that has just become a passion, not just for yourself, but to also teach other people.
Right. Well, Get Hype came about, like I said, as a slogan for myself. And I just thought that it was a great slogan for our community. And so I started tagging my pictures with Get Hype, hashtag Get Hype. I was a personal trainer, but I never had any clients because I was like, who's going to listen to the big guy, right? To say, this is what you need to do. So I went back and I renewed my personal training license and got a nutritional coaching license and a group fitness license and a corrective exercise license and bodybuilding license. In the midst of this, I'm still writing my book. What's going to be the name of this book and what's going to be the name of this company? Right. And when I looked at it and I said, what do I want to convey to a person who has a challenge of self-imagery that they can look at themselves and said, you know what? I didn't get here by happenstance. I didn't get here just on me wanting to do it. I got here because I had a fire. And what better words to link together than Get Hype? Get hype. What do you hype? Because I get it all the time. What do you hype over? Well, over you, over me, over achievement. Get hype transferred into a thing or translates into a thing. And on my webpage at www.letsgethypeoveryou, it states on there, this is not just about fitness. We use fitness to propel you to the goals that you set out for yourself. It could be starting a business, entrepreneurship. It could be starting a great podcast like this one. It could be a new relationship. It can be going back to school. But get hype for yourself. Mm-hmm. Get hype over the journey. Get hype over you because at the end of the day, the only person that's going to propel you to make change is you. And the only way to do that is if you get hype. And that is why the term and the business name Get Hype was born.
I love that because it is, like you said, it's wide ranging across a variety of things, but especially for anybody who's had these procedures, it's like coming upon a new life again. It's like doing things all of a sudden you never do. Look, I did it because of a blood pressure situation, and that became normalized again. And I've lost this weight, and oh, people compliment you, and that's great. This added benefit of the fact that I just didn't realize how much my knees and ankles were hurting me on a daily basis, and now I'm walking and I'm doing all of the, this and those added benefits. I just feel like it's totally different. And all of a sudden now I'm looking at my wife going, yeah, we could go hiking. Sure. It's something I would have never considered before because it was just something I couldn't do. I don't want to overblow a new lease on life, but it's just doing things that you never thought you'd be able to do.
No, you really should overblow that because guess what? When you lose 5 to 10 pounds of visceral fat, you essentially add at least 2 years to your life. So it is a new lease on life, right?
That's good. I like it.
When I looked at my picture from before and I looked at this new guy, oh my God, how can you not be ecstatic? You're looking at a brand new person. I essentially lost 120 something pounds. So I lost maybe a 12-year-old. Right?
Wow. Yeah.
That's something for you to carry on your shoulder and every day get up and embrace the enjoyment of life and living and say, you know what? I got a second chance to go for that hike that I wanted to 2 years ago on this trail that was so challenging that I watched everybody on Facebook to say, wow, I really wish I can do that. And now you can, right? That gives you a new lease on life when you could go into a store and no longer have to, for me, and no longer have to pay the extra $2 because you have to get, those extended.
The big and tall, right? I understand. I've always hated that.
Right? You see what I'm saying? So now you're bringing more money in your pocket. Now you have all these other things and all these other hobbies. Right. So yeah, to my right now, I have a bike sitting here that's worth $1,000. I never could fit on it. Right. I never would have been able to fit on it. Now I fit on it and ride it and feel great. To my left, I have a bike that sits here that's over $1,000 that I rode when I was 300 pounds because it was built for someone heavier. And I still ride it today. And guess what? I rode it last night and every pedal I took me back. This is where I came from to this is where I'm going and where I'm at. And you know what? I celebrated coming down the hill in Washington, D.C. No hands, my hands in the air, feeling free as a bird because I can keep up for a 10 plus mile ride on a bike. I couldn't go 2 miles.
Keith, you get emotional. I get emotional. I think about the change for me. I mean, it's been over 2 years for you. It's just been over a year for me. And I think about like you just talked about the added 2 years for every, 5 to 10 pounds and that kind of thing. And I just think, how much longer am I going to be here for my son? How much longer am I going to, be here for my family? How much longer am I going to get to do things? And circling back to you starting Get Hype is the idea of you get to fill in that blank. What is it now? Because we've got this new lease on life that we can do. Is it, I want to be able to ride 10 miles on my bike, or you know what? I'm going to start a new business, or I'm going to do something new, or I'm going to do whatever it was that I didn't think I could do because of my weight, or I didn't have enough energy, or whatever the barrier was, because now you've got a new lease on life with this.
If you let me go off screen for 1 second, I want to show you something that makes me even more proud because these are things I never thought I'll be able to do. And I can see today and say that I've accomplished them, and I've accomplished them through all of everything that I've had with the tool, with the motivation, with the encouragement. Currently today, I'm a virtual Ironman finisher.
Wow.
Currently today, I've completed a triathlon. Currently today, I've ran over 400 miles in this run that I'm currently getting ready to put in the first key of 500 miles running in the course of a year.
All these amazing medals you've got.
And this is only 3 of them.
And that's a lot of hardware right there.
That's a lot of hardware.
You need strength just to lift that, keep that around your neck, and just keep up with that. So, well, dude, just congratulations on that. It's I just thank you for your time today. I really appreciated all the stuff you've gone, and we will be talking more because there's so much more that we can do. Yeah. I've been saying this since I started the podcast. It's amazing, this entire community around bariatric and weight loss, this family of people that don't know each other, that are of all different types, shapes, sizes, colors, creeds, whatever, but we come together because of this thing that we've done. Mm-hmm. And because of this motivation that we've had. And it's amazing to me how people who don't know each other around the world are literally on their phones each day, supporting and loving each other and saying, you can do this and you've got this, because we've all been through the same thing. So it's amazing to me. And like I said, you were one of those people from the first moment we were in that Facebook group when I started over a year ago, that I'm just like, wow, look at what he's doing. Look how he has, not just been successful, but just the fact that you're not just going, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. You're giving back in every way that you can to folks that are just starting this journey.
Right. And that was part of my commitment to this journey. Was I didn't want it to be a selfless journey or a selfish journey. I wanted to be selfless. I wanted to give back to the community what I borrowed, because this whole thing, paying it forward, there's people in this group who paid it forward to me, and it was my obligation to take what they paid it forward to me and pay it forward to someone else so this can keep going.
I want to thank Keith for his time and really appreciate everything that he said. And I hope that you will take some of that to heart today, and that you will #get hype on yourself. In the show notes of the podcast, we're going to have Keith's contact information as far as Instagram, his website for Get Hyped, and all of that. Go follow him. Speaking of Get Hype, I would hope that you will help us get hype about the Walk from Obesity that is coming up very soon. It's only about 6 weeks away. September 26th, 2020 is the Walk from Obesity, and we have started a team. The Bariatric Bros podcast walkers are going to be out, and we'd love for you to join our team, help raise some money for this great organization that battles obesity in the United States. You can sign up for the team right now. Check the show notes for a link to get you signed up. Before we head out this week, I hope that you will do the 3 S's for us here at Bariatric Bros, and that is to social. That means jump on our socials. We're at Bariatric Bros. Follow us, like some posts, connect with us on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and YouTube. Then the second S is share. Will you share this podcast? You can click on whatever podcast app provider you have. Share it with friends. If you're posting on social, share the app on your social and say, hey, listen to this Bariatric Bros podcast. We want to get this information out to even more people. I think there's so many guys out there that really don't have anyone who's giving them a voice to the things that they're dealing with, like we did today. And the third thing, the third S, is to support. You can support the show, again, by sharing it, all the things we just said. You can also support the show financially if you'd like. We've got a link in the show notes, and it's real simple and it's real easy for you to be a part of what we're doing right here. So that's it for this week. Cannot wait to talk to you again and hang out a little bit more here on Bariatric Bros. I'm Mike Alley, where we're living that bariatric life and we're eating like men.